Well, no doubt Florida, but now Georgia, as well as South Carolina, are now watching very carefully with great intent to see what happens with Idalia, especially over the next 18 hours. We already know that it's going to be making landfall in the Big Bend of Florida, very likely at least as a Category 1, possibly as high as a Category 3 hurricane sometime tomorrow morning. Here in South Carolina, the one thing that we've been watching very carefully is the track, and the track still has it. Now, regardless of the cone of uncertainty, the cone of uncertainty covers at least half of the Palmetto State, and we're looking at a trajectory time that at least the center point of whatever Idalia is, which will likely be a tropical storm, by Thursday morning somewhere in the low country. Again, the computer models are indicating that there is going to be a noticeable amount of tropical storm winds extending from its center point somewhere in the low country, but that extends into portions of the Midlands. And the computer model spaghetti plots not only are in line with where the National Hurricane Center currently has it, but it's also showing some signs of it possibly needing to shift a little bit further to the northwest, putting it even closer to the heart of the Midlands. And that's why we have tropical storm watches now in effect. Again, this is updated for Sumter, Clarendon, Calhoun, and Orangeburg County. Those tropical storm watches extend until Friday afternoon. Tropical storm warnings now cover, this is the update, the entire coastline of South Carolina, the low country and the Grand Strand, all the way inland until Friday afternoon. In addition to that, we got this update a little bit before 5 o'clock now, a very large swath of South Carolina that covers just about all of our Midland communities, the PD, the Grand Strand, and coast and inland low country, of very heavy rainfall. And that heavy rainfall is going to be impacting a lot of us in a very, very short time. That's why a flood watch is in effect for just about all of South Carolina except for the far northern upstate until at least Thursday afternoon at about 2 o'clock. Now, we also have a risk for severe weather. The severe weather basically covers along and south of I-20, but particularly when you get along south of I-95 from the Grand Strand to the low country, there is a slight risk, a higher risk, a Category 3, in which not only could we see the possibility of strong wind gusts if the storms become severe, but even though we're not expecting hail, there is that possibility as a tropical cyclone that we could see possibly some tornado warnings out of it, especially in the brown shaded areas. Meanwhile, this is what's going on right now. You're like, what is going on? There's literally nothing going on. Well, look at these temperatures. 85 in Greenwood, 84 in Sumter, 87 for Orangeburg and Charleston. But it is so humid. Dew points are in the mid to upper 70s, so the heat indices right now are in the upper 90s and low 100s. It is really uncomfortable outside. Now, we've already seen some thunderstorms, and we've got more thunderstorms now crossing over the Savannah River. And all of this activity is moving to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So what we're expecting is we're going to continue with more showers and storms for tonight. This will start tapering off as we get after midnight. In the morning, we could see a spark of more showers and thunderstorms, but as we get into mid-morning, into late morning, here comes all the rain from what it'll be at that point, Tropical Storm Idalia. That showers and storm activity is going to move through and cover a vast portion of South Carolina, even into early Thursday morning. It should start tapering off, and as we get to sunset Thursday morning, the showers will start finally moving out, and we are completely done. So here's the forecast. In the morning, we'll start off 73 degrees, only a high of 78. By Thursday, once the skies clear, a high of 76. Watch this, 59 degrees Friday morning, but we'll go from the low 80s Friday and Saturday to the upper 80s Sunday, and as the sunshine continues on Monday and Tuesday, highs get back into the 90s. But Corey, this is a very important thing for everybody to understand. We're still under the possibility of significant weather.
That's right, Efren, and I think the biggest impact is going to be that threat of flooding as you get a little bit closer to this storm moving into the Midlands. You can see right now over the Gulf of Mexico where we are expecting wind and storm surge to be the biggest threat for Florida. That's really shifting as it moves towards South Carolina, though. Let's talk about hurricanes and what we typically see with their structure. We can break them up into 4 different pieces, and on the eastern or right-hand side of that storm is where we typically have the worst weather. That includes heavy rain, even stronger winds and even some tornado risk. But it's that northeastern quadrant, the top right, where we have the strongest winds, the biggest potential for tornadoes and heavy rain. Idalia is not going to be that way as it moves into South Carolina. It's actually going to be the entire northern half of the storm that we're dealing with that really heavy rain here across the Midlands. So let's break things down. This is what we call precipitable water, or available moisture in this case. A lot of deep tropical moisture, that's that dark green you see on the screen, and it's moving to the north with the system. This is pretty typical for a landfalling hurricane, but where we're really looking at the details with this is at the surface. We have a front in the area. It's out towards the west right now, but it's going to stall right across the viewing area as you go into tomorrow. This is going to act as a barrier for this storm, pretty much pushing all this moisture against the front and enhancing that rainfall as we go into tomorrow. So that's why we are concerned about some pretty hefty rain totals, especially here in the Midlands with this storm. Water is going to be the #1 threat with Idalia as it moves through South Carolina as we go Wednesday and into early portions of Thursday. That's why we have flood watches out, and that's also why the Weather Prediction Center has put out anywhere from 5 to 7 inches, locally higher amounts here across the Midlands.